doesn't mean I'm not cared, right? Now, I'm not also saying by them, but I'm saying it doesn't mean that I'm not cared about and that nobody loves me. You just have to dig deep down inside and find out who those real people are. If they become if it becomes to the point where it's absolutely nobody, because I've gotten to that point where I've hit the brick wall and I'm like, holy, who do I actually have? I actually have nobody. And then somebody pops up or something pops up and says, hey man, I got you. 9 times out of the 10 for me, I'm spiritual. So that's God. God, he always comes and tells me he's usually that backup for me. But there are people out there that do tend to want to step up and say, okay, look, I'll be your support system. But once again, you can't always rely on that also as well. You got to also rely on, as a person, you're and helping yourself and knowing that, okay, look, if this is my problem and if these are the things that I'm going through, these are the things that I need to address. And these are the things that I need to speak to somebody about. You know, holding things in. And I'm talking especially to young men. Women, they are very emotional. So they usually find somebody or they break down. And when they break down, there's somebody usually there that kind of comforts them and they are able to share. But for men, they don't break down. Men are always, tense and they're always keeping themselves um keeping things to themselves. And that's our problem. And then when that happens, then we tend to lose control of um our emotions. We tend to lose control of our actions and the way we think. And then that's why men, when we get angry, it's twice as it's bad because we when we deal with our mental health, it's violence and it's anger. Look, as you see, you know, boom, killing yourself, right? So it becomes a little bit more severe for us if we don't address these things and if we don't talk about these things. This is why I said, watch my documentary, A Man's Cry. If you haven't watched it, please watch it, like and subscribe so you can see many more of these documentaries that I'm going to make because this documentary talks about these things specifically. It talks about the root causes, the struggle, and the solution that we could have or use to get through whatever we're going through. You got to remember one thing. We're not alone. The other day I was going through this post the other day on Instagram. And on the post it had a young man um it had a young man on a blow up mattress, okay? And the blow up mattress, every 5 minutes he was blowing the blow up mattress up, blowing the blow up mattress up. And I did that for about 4 to 5 months when I was living in a room. I was renting a room. And I did that for 4 to 5 months. And I couldn't understand. I said, is it this blow up mattress? To the point where there was a hole in a little small hole. I went and bought a brand new one because I was like, yo, why does this thing keep um, you know, deflating every time I'm sleeping in the middle of like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning? I'm I'm thinking I'm waking people up. That's noisy as fuck, right? And I said to myself, man, my life is so rough, man. I got to do this. I can't even get a proper bed to sleep on, and this is doing this and that. I can't wait to buy a bed. So it took me to 4 or 5 months when I moved from the room and I actually moved into a better place. I bought a bed. And I'll tell you, that was one of the best sleeps I've ever had. However, I didn't realize that I was not the only person that actually gone through this thing with a blow up mattress. There's tons of other people that have done the same thing, because in this post, there was about, I would say, 7,000 comments, 7 to 8,000 comments of people saying the exact same thing, saying, "Oh my gosh, I thought I was the only one." So, could you imagine in life, okay, if we sit down and we think about all the things that we all go through in life, and everything that the problems that we face, and the situations that occur, that someone else has probably gone through it, or has probably gone through it worse. Okay? Now, we all have to remember there's only one ultimate loss in life. This song, that's why, and another promotion here for my my music, my song Gain. If you look it up, GAIN on YouTube, DARUE, Darue the Rue. Gain talks about the only ultimate loss we have in life is death. When we die, that's it. That's the loss. Life is done. Okay? Everything in life besides that is a gain. You gain from it, because it's all a learning experience. You're all learning from it. When we die, we grieve. That's why I talked about my grandmother, right? Being that she didn't die, rest in peace. She passed away now, but at that time when I wrote the song, she was alive. And I did everything that I said in that song that I was gonna do. And I got to spend time with her. I got to hang out with her before she passed. And that was, that was peace for me, right? And peace for her, because when she see me, she sighed. She said my name and she sighed. She was like, like she felt like that was like, she needed to see me, right? So when I say that, I say this with great intent of experience, and great intent of knowledge, and for us to do better. Okay? Because I know these things firsthand by going into a youth facility and having to deal with that as a young youth, then going, into the, of course, the system after that. That pretty much designed me for jail. However, my parents may have thought they were doing a good thing, because they wanted to scare me a little bit to show me that, hey, this is something that I may not want to do. But it really didn't really fix the problem, because I didn't really address the real issue, even though I know that I wasn't really as bad as I thought I was. Because when I went in there was, kids with their wrists slit, and, you know, I never had any of those issues, right? So, did I really want to kill myself, or was I just bluffing, right? So, but there's times where in life where we feel sometimes something may happen. It's like, yo, is it worth living? And that's when we have to put the stop to it. And we have to think, okay, wait a minute. This whatever I'm losing in life, whatever I've lost in life, it's a gain. It's not a true loss. Because if I lost this, or if I lose this, I'm gonna gain it back by knowing not to lose it again, by being smarter about losing it. You know what I mean? There's always some type of way to gain from something that we lose, until we are actually gone. Okay? Listen to that song. Like I said, go search it on YouTube. Gain by Darue the Rue. It's produced by me and it's shot by Rivality. So, shout out to her and everybody that was working on this project with me on that project with me. But when I'm gonna get into this article here. And I want to read. Let me see something because this is same thing that I was talking about um, in regards to seeking for help or in regards to the NFL knowing about helping their players when these things are happening. Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Rondale Moore was found with a self-inflicted gunshot wound Saturday night in New Albany, Indiana, police said. He was transported to an area hospital and pronounced dead less than an hour later, according to a Floyd County Coroner's Office news release. He was 25 years old. New Albany Police Chief Todd Bailey said Moore was found inside the garage of a property in the city. A forensic autopsy was performed Sunday, and the coroner's office is leading the death investigation in collaboration with the New Albany Police Department. Quote unquote, I am devastated by the news of Rondo's death, Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell said in a statement. Quote unquote, while Rondale had been a member of the Vikings for a short time, he was someone we came to know well and cared about deeply. He was a humble, soft spoken, and respectful young man who was proud of his Indiana roots. As a player, he was disciplined, dedicated, and resilient despite facing adversity multiple times as injuries sidelined him throughout his career. We all are heartbroken by the fact he won't continue to live out his NFL dream, and we won't all have a chance to watch him flourish. My players are with Rondale's family, friends, teammates, and coaches as we deal with this tragic news. Now, Moore was an instant star as a college receiver at Purdue, setting records as a freshman in 2018. That season, Moore caught 114 passes for about 1,258 yards and 12 touchdowns. So that's what I said about that year. He was primarily that year, he was doing very well that year. Um, and then he started getting injuries. As his coach said, he was, you know, being injured a lot, and it caused him to be sidelined. Now, the last play, I want to get into the last play here. You're going to see the last play.
Violent, very violent inside hand chop. Turns the corner with his hips and gets to the quarterback.
Two-time Super Bowl winner Tommy Townsend with the punt. New Viking Rondale Moore, 22 punt returns to his career, 8.5 on the average. Flag on the play as he scoots to the right side, trying to get the corner.
Yeah, you see there, he kind of landed. You can see how he landed. I'm gonna rewind it back.
New Viking Rondale Moore, 22 punt returns to his career, 8.5 on the average. Flag.
All right, so his left knee. Remember his left knee, right? So you see right here, but he grabs him. Right? It's not a hard tackle. It's not like he was trying to injure him. He just went to stop him, stop the play, right? So Buddy grabs him, and his left knee drags, and his left knee hit pretty hard on the ground. Let me rewind.
Punt returns to his career, 8.5 on the average.
Right? Bang. Right? You see that? You see that hit? One more time. All right.
Moore, 22 punt returns to his career, 8.5 average. Play.
Bang. There's a flag on the play too, so I don't know if it was a pass interference or what, because he seemed like he was still in the 10 to 20 yard inside the 10 20 yard end zone and inside their end zone. So they could have been a flag on the play for pass interference, But when he hit, I don't think it had anything to do with his injury, because when he hit the ground here,
Punt returns to his career, 8.5 on the average flag play.
yeah, see, he pretty much landed on his knee himself,
As he
and then that's when he heard it
to the right side trying to get the corner, but he can't get the edge. 53-yard punt and a 2-yard return. And somebody who missed all of 2024 for the Falcons due to injury, Rondale Moore, well, he's down. He's down on the Texans sideline. I'm not exactly.
During the return,
Nope.
personal foul, illegal blindside block. Return team number 14.
Nope.
Half the distance to the goal. It's first down. Timeout.
Well, this Tim Jones, 2 special teams penalties. Rondale Moore is hurt. And it's 7-6 Texans with 10.5 minutes to go in the.
So that was his last play. That was his last play, man. Rest in peace, brother. That was his last play. And yeah, it's sad because that, and you can see if you look here too. Let me go back here. The
Violent, very violent inside hand chop. Turns the corner with his hip. Injury from last year. You know, hoping that he was going to be an unstoppable workout for him as other stops in Arizona. He's got a real chance to come back.
Wait, it's just, I'm trying to find the part where they're reeling him out of there. There he is. All right, so there he is right there. You could see him on the stretcher, right? And his head is on there. He's thinking, that's man, that's sad, man.
There you see a towel over the head of Rondale Moore, who left the field, is heading back to the Vikings locker room. That's bad news for Rondale Moore, guys.
Yeah, it's awful.
Right, and it was bad news for him because that he was been sidelined this whole year, this whole year pretty much. He was sidelined, and you know, in his mind, he's thinking, what more do I have to, what more do I have to live for, man? I can't play anymore. What am I gonna do? And back to, expectations and all kinds of stuff is probably going through his head, right? And it's sad, man. It's sad. I really hope that his family is going to heal from this, or they can heal from this quickly, and they could shed the light on this with other players. Hopefully, somebody in his family or somebody involved on his team or anybody, some of his teammates, can really stand up for this when it comes to players now, and really help each other and speak up. Now, I noticed the NBA has been doing something very special lately. Now, I think I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna touch this. I'm gonna touch up on this pause. I'm gonna touch up on this subject next week, when we're gonna be talking about something along the lines of sports and mental health and basketball as well. And one thing that the NBA has been doing now is they've been kind of like huddling, and they've been doing like, both teams have been coming together before a game, and they've been coming kind of like huddling before a game, and like kind of like, giving each other encouragement and positive energy before the game. And this is great. And you never used to see anything like this. And yeah, you may see fights and you may see teams fighting, but for the most part, when you see a team come together like that, that's going to create an influence, and it's going to be bigger, and it's going to, more teams are going to start doing the same thing. So let's hope that happens, right? That's great. I can't remember who started it. I think it was Giannis. If it wasn't Giannis, I believe it was Giannis that started that. So shout out to Giannis for that, man. Giannis is becoming the face of the NBA now, and he's doing a very good job. All right. I just want to, before we go, I want to get into one last thing here on the screen, because I wanted to share what the article said in regards to the NFL. I believe this was the one article I read. Yeah, so all right, is this the one? It was just an article saying that, you know, that there needs to be more, and as I was explaining before, that there needs to be more responsibility or more accountability for people who are, in charge of the health and wellness of the players. Now, the players have their own, job to do themselves, but when they're in a league that primarily pays them millions of dollars to play, and they have assets and benefits, that should be one of the primary things that they focus on. Once again, I said, your mind and your subconscious mind. So that's going to be the thought of the day that hopefully everybody can take away. Because in order for your mind to be healthy, or your body to be healthy, your mind has to be healthy, because your body controls your mind. Your body is your subconscious mind. Your body is important, yes, but it's only controlled by what your mind tells it. People can argue and say, no, it's not. Your body is told what to do. When you lift your hand up, your brain is telling your hand to lift it up, even though you think you're using the power of your arm to lift your hand up. That's not what's really happening. It's our brain. And this is what a lot of humans, we have a hard time with understanding when it comes to creators and the creativity. When I mean by creator, I mean the creator. Because in order for something to operate, it has to be functioned by something, right? So when we think that we're powerful, or we can overpower something because we are telling ourselves we have the strength to do it, that's because, yes, we are telling ourselves we have the strength to do it. Your arm and your legs are not automatically moving on their own. If that happens, that means you're going to have those, what do you call those things? Convasions, or when you jump and you have nerve convasions or whatever. That's what that is. But if you don't have those things, and I move my hand and I move my leg and I move my head and I, shake my head this way and move my head that way, that's me telling my body what to do. So the overall master of everything is your mind, your brain. How is your brain built? Scientists can't even tell you. Okay, I'll tell you a secret. Scientists can't even tell you how your brain is made. They only can tell you what your brain looks like or what's inside the brain. But they can't tell you how the brain is developed, because the brain is a very special thing that nobody can ever. It's too powerful. Just look at what it does. That's creation. So take that today and really think about that, and let's talk about it on the next show. All right. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. And once again, I want to say just, my condolences to Rondale Moore, also to Neelan, that was played for the Dallas Cowboys, that recently shot himself as well. in Dallas or in Texas, and hoping that a lot of this stuff, and Aaron Hernandez as well, who was convicted of murder and then, killed himself in his cell. To me, I just feel like all these things are happening for a reason. A lot of these things are happening because a lot of these players, they got money, they are in this lifestyle. Then when things really hit the fan for them, they don't really know how to deal with them, right? Some people think when you got money that everything's, washed away and life is the greatest. Sometimes when you have the most money, you get into the most problems because you don't know how to deal with situations when things come crashing. Because you may think that, hey, how am I going to get back into this position again? Right? You made your first $50,000 and you lose that. You may think that you'll never, ever make $50,000 again in your life. So that's where these things are coming and where these things are happening. But we need to reassure ourselves, hey, money is not is what makes you live. Money is what makes you survive, but not what makes you live. Okay? You need money to survive, but it doesn't make you live. What makes you live is the way you treat yourself, how you think, how you deal with people, how you treat your body. So those things are important in life before anything else. Okay? So, hopefully we learn from this self-therapy this week, guys. Find something to do that's for you, which means if it's going for a walk, if you like swimming, I encourage, especially the Black community, I encourage start, a lot of the Black community like fishing, but start going out fishing more, get into the water, overcome our fears, because there's so much great things that we can do that will cure our therapy versus being fearful of it. Leaving yourself a therapeutic, leaving yourself therapeutic and being being humbly involved with the world and the universe, accepting the universe, creating the universe, and are not creating the universe, recreating the universe with the energy that we're supposed to give the universe. Okay? I love y'all. We're going to wrap it up. We'll see y'all Thursday at 8 p.m. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And also watch that Man's Cry documentary. It is out on YouTube now. And please like, subscribe, and share. All right? Peace and love.